Okay, so Monday we got up early, got our butts down to Eagle Rider and beat the rush of people who were renting that day. Headed down to Denny's for a quick breakfast, and this is us on the road. We did head out the wrong direction the first time. Cost us about 28 miles round trip, but it didn't matter. It got us used to the bikes at 70 miles an hour. Tremendous desert scenery all around, and it also made us keenly aware of the heat we were going to face that day, as we had to stop right off the bat to pick up some water. So this actually worked out quite well for us. Here we are headed down out of Boulder City. Had to go through Boulder City to get to this, and here is our first view of Lake Mead. It was actually kind of really uplifting to see this. You knew how close we were to Hoover Dam. And this was actually a very nice stretch of road. Just think about that, just starting out your trip and taking a look out at that lake and knowing what's ahead for your whole day. These next three slides were just taken as we began to approach. You may even see some of this in the video that follows. And I believe that bridge there was built as a bypass to help alleviate the return traffic across the bridge. I don't think it was there in '74 when Shirley and I were there, and we in fact rode across it on our last day of the trip. It's pretty impressive when you're actually sitting right next door to that. Okay, so this is going to be us crossing the dam. It's kind of a cool video. You get a nice slow patch through it. And I'm going to shut my mouth. Just so you know, there's no sound in this. I muted it because the first day of our trip here on Monday, I forgot and left the camera in my helmet, which picks up all kind of wind noise, and I diluted that out of here. The next day, I actually remembered to mount it on the handlebars, which will eliminate this, and videos for Tuesday through Friday are greatly enhanced that way. But here we go, and I'll let this speak for itself. Okay, I'm going to interject a little here. Pay attention to the scenery and what you see just on top of the dam as we cross it. There's actually going to be a quiz at the end. Okay, it's quiz time. So this is a picture taken by Shirley and I on our trip in 1974. So if you take a look at the top of that and what we just rode across and what you saw in the video, see how many things you can figure out. I saw at least two that were different today than they were back then. So this is actually the backside of the dam, and as you can see, it was one heck of an incredible piece of engineering. It just amazes me how you could ever build anything like that. And this next slide shows you what is basically the beginning of Lake Mead. And if you look along the sides, you can see how high the water should be and what it used to be before we entered this huge drought period. This picture here was taken of Shirley on that trip. We're not sure if it was right at the dam site or not, but it's a really cute picture of her, so I just threw it in there. Okay, so these next two slides are just a slide of Zach and I in the parking lot behind the dam. Josh had decided to go walk down over the dam, and eventually Zach did also. It was just too hot for me to do that, and I had a beautiful view from where I was. So this is our parking spot, and boy, is parking at a premium on the backside of that dam. Okay, this is a really cool place. We stopped for lunch and refreshments after we left the dam. It's Chili Jilly's, and boy, we had some good food in there, and I actually broke down. I don't often have ice cream, but they had a root beer float in there to die for. I got to tell you, I think Zach might have even had one, which is unusual for both of us to eat that stuff. Great salad, everything. And here I am outside just trying to relax a little before we continue the trip. And I never realized how much with that headgear on that I actually look like some kind of refugee cleaning lady. So after leaving Chili Jilly's, I managed to put us running around looking for this specific road that we had received as a tip from a guy from the KTM motorcycle manufacturing company as far as maybe a little more interesting route to get up to Zion National Park, the direction that we were going. So we got lost a little, but it turned out okay. Went through a toll booth, and once we picked up our pass for this road, this was our very first stop. And actually, you know, it's pretty exciting when you finally get on this road and you realize you're probably going to be the only ones on it. But I will tell you, it was so warm there that Josh and Zach were smart enough to have full gloves on. I had fingerless gloves, and the shift lever, the clutch lever, and the brake lever on my bike were so hot that I had to wrap my left hand at the very least in cloth until I figured out I could use band-aids to cover that, because even with the hot air blowing over it, you would think it would cool it a little. Those handles got so hot you could hardly even touch them. Okay, this next group of photos before we get to the next video, we're taking along Lake Road. I believe it runs north-south right along Lake Mead, and as you look at this picture, the Hoover Dam would be way back up on the right. I got a kick out of this picture because as I look at it, I'm not sure if that's a touch of affection by Josh or one of consolation. But I didn't really need consolation. I was having a blast. This photo is from 1974. And I pay particular attention to it because if you look in the background at the water level that used to be, judging by the line, the mineral line across that little island out there, and what you'll see in the next photos, you know there's been quite a shift. I also didn't know that we had actually taken that road, so it was kind of nice to see that picture to find out that Shirley and I had in fact ridden on that exact road. As I look at these beautiful pictures, and especially in this one, boy, take a look at the difference in water level to what is normal there. What does come across in this picture, though, is just absolutely the sheer beauty and color of that water, Lake Mead itself. It is just simply gorgeous. This is a spot that I think actually had a sign out in front that said it was a beach. The beach is no more. There were plenty of spots along this road that either were a marina or a camp that closed down or a beach that shut down. It was actually a big set of buildings that had been shuttered because of the lack of water along the way. This is just another shot of it, of Lake Mead. You can see how absolutely beautiful it was and the trouble that it's actually in. This next photo is just us along the side of the road, and you know, I'm gonna shut my trap. These things kind of speak for themselves, and just let you watch till we get to the next video.
Oh, day I faced a barren waste without the taste of water, cool water. Old Dan and I, with throats burnt dry and souls that cry for water, cool water, clear water. Keep a moving, Dan, don't you listen to him, Dan. He's the devil, not a man, and he spreads the burning sand with water. Dan, can you see that big green tree where the water's running free and it's waiting there for me and you? The nights are...
So at the end of Lake Road, we wound up riding a little more and started to look actually for a place to spend the night. We found this place called the Red Rooster Bar in a town called Overton. It was still in Nevada. You walk into this old bar and there was casinos in there with, believe it or not, people playing the slots in there. We stayed there for a couple beers, whatever we had to drink. And then we're going to move on. Josh and Zach had taken a look and figured out if we could get 40 more miles in up towards Mesquite, we'd be in great shape for Zion National Park the next day. And that, in fact, is what we wound up doing. And you'll see in this next photo, these are kind of really neat photos. You can imagine what this bar is like. The lady in there who was the bartender told me that all the businesses around there were really struggling because with no beaches, no boat launches, no marinas, they had obviously lost a lot of traffic going through their town. This shot here is one we've taken on virtually every motorcycle trip we've taken. It's just shining into the chrome on the headlight, and is always kind of a neat picture. This here, the guys stayed in and hung out in there a little longer. I honestly couldn't take it because of the smoke in there. It was really burning my eyes out. One of the things that you really learn to appreciate about New York State when you travel to places like this is that the no smoking inside buildings is just such a godsend for those of us who can't stand it. Anyway, that picture was taken in the parking lot out back while I was waiting for him. And no, I wasn't dead. I was just resting. We had made the decision to go another 40 miles, and that was a very good decision. It really helped us out the next day, and frankly, it went very, very quickly. There's not a lot of traffic on those roads going up there. And this is just a copy of the packing Josh did on his Fat Boy. Really worked out well, you know. If you take a look at that, you can't get much more concise than that. Okay, from the Rooster, we headed out by Zach's notes north on Route 15. It was only 80 miles an hour, so that last 40 miles sure didn't take us very long, I can tell you that. We had originally planned, they had found a spot called the State Line Motel. But when we got there, I don't know what state it was, but it certainly wasn't our state of mind. So we found another great place, believe it or not. It was a super Casablanca hotel and casino. Spent $40 for the night. It was absolutely after a day like that, it was just completely refreshing. Had a decent dinner there. This photo here shows us where they even had a parking spot set aside for us. It was only a few feet away from the door. Can you believe it? They had a spot set aside for motorcycles. And we didn't take the picture of the ugly Harley that was sitting there, by the way. And then this final picture just shows I managed to stay in the room and suck up the air conditioning. And Josh and Zach went down and enjoyed their pool. All this for $39. I think it was $39 for that night. So as you can see, Monday, first day of travel, you're usually not very productive. Ours was, we got to see tremendous stuff as you've seen, and the rest of the week gets even better.